All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about the lightweight division, specifically Ryan Garcia being clout chased by Gervonta Tank Davis, according to Oscar De La Hoya, and also the likelihood of a Ryan Garcia-George Kambosos fight. Let's talk about that after this video and this message by our newest sponsor. This video is brought to you by Boxing Showtimes, a new professional boxing schedule in your pocket. It helps you to keep updated on boxing events and details. Also assists you when you want to find bars near you to watch fights and allows you to set reminders for upcoming fights. Download the Boxing Showtimes for your smartphone and your tablet. Thank you again to our newest sponsors, Boxing Showtimes. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about a stacked division, the lightweight division. It is stacked, ready to go, with absolutely nobody fighting each other. However, it seems as if we may be starting to get some big fights, some clarification on some things related to some of the big fights that happened there. We're going to talk about specifically something Oscar De La Hoya had to say to DAZN about the George Kambosos fight and also the fight with a potential fight with Gervonta Tank Davis. So let's get to the first one first, the oldest one, the one we've been talking about the longest, which is Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, there had been reports that there are reports that Gervonta Tank Davis was in a negotiation with Ryan Garcia not too long after. I can't remember what fight that was with Ryan Garcia. However, Ryan Garcia won a big fight. He went on Mike Tyson's Hot Boxing, and Mike Tyson and then Leonard Ellerbe and Floyd Mayweather Jr., Gervonta Davis were all involved in conversations about Ryan Garcia fighting Gervonta Tank Davis. So Oscar De La Hoya was asked about that by DAZN in a setup question, and obviously a setup type of question where they knew what the answer was that he was going to give, which was something along the lines of there was never an offer made by the PBC, by Mayweather Promotions or the PBC to get a fight between Gervonta Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. And so that was not real, and pretty much that Gervonta Tank Davis is just using the name of Ryan Garcia in order to grow his name, right? Now, here's my take on that. You never know whether that is true or not, whether or not there was a verbal offer made, whether or not there was a written offer made. Have to take the word, the parties at their word for it. But there was a clear communication that Gervonta Tank Davis wanted to fight Ryan Garcia, and to this day, there is still Gervonta Davis saying he'd be more than happy to make a fight with Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia also has said that he wants to fight Gervonta Tank Davis, and he says, that even though he believes he's the bigger star than Gervonta Davis, that he would be willing to humble himself and take 50-50 on the fight, right? Now, my take on it is that Oscar De La Hoya is the one that is not dumb. Oscar De La Hoya was a world-class level fighter, Hall of Fame level boxer, and has been a promoter for a very long time at this point in time in his promotional career. And I think Oscar De La Hoya is a lot of things. Stupid is not one of them. Because if he puts Ryan Garcia in there with Gervonta Tank Davis at this point in time in his career, Gervonta Tank Davis more than likely is going to dispatch of Ryan Garcia in quite ugly fashion, especially if what we saw in the fight with Luke Campbell and Ryan Garcia repeats itself. That's just going to be a very, very, very hard fight for that guy to win. At this point in time, my personal opinion is that Ryan Garcia is a prospect. I like Ryan Garcia. I think that he is somebody that is probably going to develop later than some of his other contemporaries that came in around the same time, like Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez. Ryan Garcia, to me, just seems to be like his, going to be a guy that winds up somewhere around 147 pounds. He's a tall guy. He's a strong guy. He's got fast hands. However, I think that his chin stays up in the air, and he is going to need, more time to develop, regardless of how popular he is or he isn't. I just think it's going to take more time, and that right there is a reason why Oscar De La Hoya would not seriously entertain a fight between Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Tank Davis, similar to what is going on, what went on with Jaime Munguia and Jermall Charlo. Jaime Munguia is a good fighter, a former champion at 154 pounds. Although he's got 30 fights, I don't think that Eric Morales has had enough time with him to develop him into being an all-around skilled fighter. I don't think he's gotten to the point that he's ready for Jermall Charlo. And Oscar De La Hoya knows how to build fighters, and he's not going to throw those guys in there this early, if at all, ever, because I just do not believe also that he really wants to do, he's all that, much in a hurry, to do a fight with the PBC, considering the history that those guys have. Now, the other portion of what Oscar De La Hoya said was that they are still in negotiations after after Ryan Garcia fights on April 9th against Togo, if I mispronounce his name. After that fight, that he is going to go to Australia, meet with Luda Bella and George Kambosos. They're going to sit down and they're going to talk about the potential of Ryan Garcia fighting George Kambosos next for the WBA, the WBC, the IBF, and the WBC franchise championship. So that is, and he mentioned also, because his understanding was that Vasily Lomachenko, they had a deal with Vasily Lomachenko in place, but since Lomachenko, is in the military situation that's going on between Russia and the Ukraine, that Vasily Lomachenko may not be available, and therefore Ryan Garcia would take that fight. Now, I did hear along those lines, I did hear an interview by Bob Arum, over a series of days, one interview, the original interview that he gave, or the first one, commenting last week on whether or not Vasily Lomachenko would fight George Kambosos, is he shared that they had a deal that was virtually done, but then this issue came up between Russia and the Ukraine, and as a result, George Kambosos needs to know pretty soon, otherwise he's going to have to move on, right? So that was the first thing that Bob Arum said. Then rumor came out that Vasily Lomachenko was going to try to get allowed to leave the Ukraine to train for the Kambosos fight. And after that, Bob Arum came out and said that, it's above his pay grade, but he is optimistic that we will see Vasily Lomachenko back in the ring sometime soon, right? So it's like he got a little bit more optimistic over the course of a week after the news came out that Vasily Lomachenko was going to petition the government to be able to leave the Ukraine in order to train for that fight. But all in all, I'm looking forward to whichever one of these fights happen. Personally, I would love to see George Kambosos fight Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia fight Gervonta Tank Davis, and then let the winner of those guys fight. That would be great, but that's just not the time. That's not the times in boxing we have when we have 4 belts, 4 sanctioning bodies and 3 belts per sanctioning body. There's just too many opportunities for people to win quote unquote championships without actually fighting each other. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.